this hairpiece pretty good, huh? This is actually the end of the video. I'm going to go back and show you how this was made, how I bought it, and tell you all about how much it cost and how long it took to get delivered. In the meantime, I'm a bald guy in a hat. Here's some paperwork I prepared earlier. This is what's happened in terms of my request for delivery of a custom hairpiece. You know, I've always bought hairpieces that are stock, straight off the shelf. They arrive in a week. I just cut it out, put it in my head. Because I wear partials, just the front sliver along the front, I can cut 2 out of a hairpiece. So I just buy a pack of 6 hairpieces, and then I can get 12. I buy 6 units, let's say, and then I can cut 12 hairpieces that I can wear. Now the front section of every hairpiece, in terms of poly, has the V-loops running nose to spine. So it's neatly going back from the front, not side to side, ear to ear, because when V-lips are stitched that way, it just creates lines right across. So at the front hairline, this looks awful. I do bleach the front hairline of all my hairpieces, whether it's lace or poly, just so that there's a nice transition from pale skin to darker hair. But there's nothing really you can do to fix horizontal V-loops. They have to be going nose to spine, otherwise it just doesn't look right. So I requested that specifically in my emails to LordHair.com, information@LordHair.com, that's their email address. And I was corresponding with them to try to get a solution for me and not having to cut out of domes anymore. I knew it would take a bit longer with custom pieces, but it's taken longer than I thought. Here's what's happened. So basically, when I cut the front half out of those hair pieces, I always get a good result. The back half is where they've just stitched it badly, right? The V-lips are going in every direction. They're not going perpendicular to my forehead, which is what I want, which is nose to spine. They're going side, side, diagonal, etc. So over the last few weeks, I've been having to use the arse end of those hair pieces, which always have that Auschwitz tag as well. Okay. But my first of my 4 custom pieces has just arrived, and that's what I'm wearing right now. By the way, if I was wearing lace, I'd think twice about putting a hat on, because the heat melts the glue and it pushes through and sticks all the hairs together. This is poly. With poly, you can wear a hat or a helmet. So today's date is currently the 15th of October 2020. On the 29th of June, that was day 1, was my initial email asking for 4 pieces of 15 by 30 centimeter, 0.03 millimeter poly, color number 4, that's medium dark brown, with S22, that's one of their hair products, a poly unit from LordHair, density, same density as that. It's about medium density, or medium. They said it's medium light, so I'm not really sure what density it is. It just seems thicker density than what I've seen medium light to be in the past. And V-loops, because I like medium density the best, which is why Swiss lace can never achieve that density that I want. It just doesn't cover glue, and glue is shiny, so I always ended up getting French lace so that I could get that medium density. But then poly came along, and poly replaced French lace for me basically ever since. So I asked them for 4 pieces of 15 by 30 centimeters, about this big, 0.03 millimeter poly thin skin, color number 4 with S22 density, and V-loops stitched correctly in nose to spine alignment, not ear to ear, horizontal V-loop alignment. LordHair replied with an email saying that there are delays due to COVID, with Korea being unable to provide stitching services at the moment. 21st of July, day 23. Invoice was finally sent and officially priced at $199 US per custom hairpiece. That's $796 US for 4. I got a discount because I refer a lot of people and I make videos for them. Not always for them. I mean, most of my videos are just between me telling my private stuff. They do give you as well, like up to $100 discount as well if you make videos, before and after videos, if you're open to making that public. I mean, I can understand why you'd rather just, you know, spend an extra $100 and not show your bald head to the world. I can understand that. But if you do want to save some money, there's always my discount coupon if you haven't ever used it before. That's StickOnHair at checkout. You need to be registered, so that means you have to register at LordHair.com, log in and be logged in, and then at checkout you'll be able to type in StickOnHair as the coupon code at the end when you're checking out, and then you'll save 20% off your order. So if it's a $500 order, you'll pay $400 instead. That's using but you can't have used it before for that account, okay? So 21st of July, date 23. Invoice was finally sent, officially priced at blah blah, 199 US per unit or 796 for 4. I got a discount because I refer a lot of people, and I ordered 4 custom pieces in a single purchase. You should expect discounts when you buy in bulk as well. And they usually offer bulk deals, which is why I usually get a pack of 6, because you save a heap of money that way too. So if you buy bulk and you use my coupon code for 20% discount, you're saving even more. During this time, I sent LordHair management a private video. I think I'll put it on, I'll cut that into this video so you can see exactly what I discussed with them. And I was suggesting that rectangular hairpiece should be permanent stock product for balding people who want to cut out partial hair pieces. So my theory is, as I say in this video to them that you're about to see, that basically there are more balding people in the world than bald people. And that'd be emotional purchase. Oh no, I'm losing my hair, what do I do, what do I do? I buy a partial, okay? And that's not currently something that is sold by any hair company that I've seen. And when I think of a partial, I think of a rectangle, because then you can cut it out flat and place it like just there or just there, right? You don't need that dome to get the scissors in and mess around. And it's not quite right for us, the partial wearers. My recommendation was 6 by 12 inches or 15.24 centimeters by 30.48 centimeters, which is an accurate translation of inches to centimeters in terms of 6 by 12 inches. The Swiss lace, French lace, and 0.03 millimeter poly ultra thin skin. Okay, let's take a look at that old video of mine. Action. Hi Nancy, thanks for responding. I really need to get the partial. I want to start making them because when I start with your full hair piece, the dome, this is beautiful packaging by the way. I start with that, and so I can get the nice, this is what I'm wearing now. I'm wearing a hairpiece from you, the Poly 0.03 S7 unit. So the front is good, see? The stitching has been done, so the V-loops have been stitched this way. So when you look at the front hairline, it doesn't make a problem. But then I've got to look at the back half of the dome that I've got to cut out, which comes back from the back half of the wig, right? And then I'm stuck with this, which I hate. There's no way to get that off ever, right? There's no way to scratch it off. You're stuck with it. But also the stitching on the back part of the wig, all of it, is side to side, you see? It just goes, it goes across the forehead, and you can't, it doesn't look real. It looks fake. You can't use it. So you guys are stitching nicely at the front, but when you get to the back, you go in all directions. I don't know why. Maybe it's just easier when you're holding. I don't know, but it's not good. It's not good. So to avoid that, I need all of them going in a straight line all the way along. By the way, I've got this tape measure. So if I measure my hair pieces that I cut out with my stencil, this is 14.5 centimeters from there to there, which is why I've said 15 wide, which equals 6 inches. It's just 6 inches, and then 30 centimeters long, because this is 9 centimeters that way for me. So with 30 centimeters, I can hold it and cut it out and still have gaps, so I can trace around the thing. But if I do measure my forehead, the way some people might cut it, it's actually 18 centimeters, which is 7 inches. So I don't know if you want to make it a different size, because actually, if I feel right to the edge, yeah, 7. And I think I have an average sized head. By the way, I'm using Devlin Green waterproof adhesive. This is really good stuff compared to Walker Tape Ultra Hold. This is my favorite glue now. So you should probably make it in a rectangle or a square. Rectangle is probably longer, so you can get more cuts out of it or whatever. But if you want to make it, I want to be able to get 3 hair pieces out of each rectangle. So for me, 9 centimeters, 9 centimeters, 9 centimeters would be 30 centimeters, not 27, because I wouldn't have any room, to cut or draw or trace, around the stencil. So it needs to be 30, which equals basically 12. So in my stencil instance, 6 inches is good, but I don't know how other people might need it to go all the way across a spot there or whatever else, which is more like 7. I'm happy for my personal use to have 15 by 30 centimeters. But if you have a lot of American customers, they'll probably want to do it in inches. So I don't know, you should sell it to me the same way you want to box it if you're going to start getting into the balding rather than the bald community, because that is the biggest community and it's untapped. Nobody is selling partials, nobody. So you would be the first in the world and you just claim the entire market. All the forums would be talking about you. You'd get all of the money. So I recommend you make it whatever size you feel like. I think 7 is probably, you could go 8 and then sell it as an 8 by, I could still get 2 cuts out of 8 by 8. If you went 8 by 10, I'd only get 2 out of it, but it could be the size you think would appeal to people. But it is a partial, and so people would only really go back to the same as I am before they start really considering going full, probably. Don't know. Anyway, after a certain point, your head starts to curve, and then you probably do need a dome after all. But if you just need a tarantula because you're just balding there, or just there, you don't want to buy a full dome because it's really hard to cut out. And like I've shown you with the poly, the V-loops are not nose to spine. They have to be nose to spine all the way along. So the long part of the rectangle that you create has to be the direction of the stitching, straight lines all the way along. Can't be sideways. That's not, except I wouldn't wear, I've got these, but they always have to be brushed forward and I can never show my face, my forehead. I've got to wear sort of a hat with the hair. It's not good. So just pick a size that you think would be the most sellable and usable for all your customers. There's no need for you to sell multiple sizes. Because you're going to have to do it in every hair color, every curliness level, and all the other things that you have to do, right? So you might as well have one size rectangle that's sold all the time. So this is a long-term product, and people can pick their hair color and curliness level, waviness level, or whatever else, right? So for me, 15 centimeters or 6 inches is good. And then 30 centimeters would take it up to 30's there, so 11 and a half. But if you're gonna do it in inches, you'd say 6 by 12. I reckon that would work for most people. By the time you cut it out, the temples need to be placed. I don't know if people's hairlines come down here very often. Maybe they do. Mine sort of comes to there, but I reckon, I don't know. Choose 7 by 12 or 8 by 10 if you want to, but I'll only get 2 out of it. But what I'm saying is, even though my custom order I would much rather get 12 pieces, you know. I'd have to throw away a lot of hair if I got something that ended before 30 centimeters. So if it was less than 30 centimeters or it was less than 12 inches long, I'd only get 2. And that's the whole reason for me getting partial, is because I want it all to be facing the same direction, because your other hair pieces are not stitched in a straight line. They're going all over the place after you get past the front hairline. And secondly, I want to get more to maximize the economy so I don't have to spend a huge amount of money, because actually I'm buying a full hair piece and I'm only able to use the front part of it. So it's a waste of money because I've got to throw basically these other parts out. And I probably will once I get the partials, because the partials are all going to be nose to spine, and that's the only thing that's acceptable. With lace, it's different. It doesn't matter. Lace can be in all directions, but I don't like lace because you can never trust it. The glue shines through the lace, and a lot of people would like lace, but the glue shines through the lace and the knots are never bleached properly. In fact, I think you should be the first company as well in this regard to guarantee bleach knots and not offer it as an optional extra, but guarantee it. I don't know what people are talking about when they say start with blonde hair and then just dye the rest so that the knots are perfect. If you had perfect knots, you would just run the industry, in the lace industry. In terms of poly, if you guaranteed nose to spine, you would run that industry too. And thirdly, there is no partial industry. There's nothing for balding men. It's only all for bald men. That's why everything is in dome form. It's a cap. It's crazy. The biggest market for balding is the balding, not the bald, not the fully bald. So people who are only partially bald, and think about the emotional purchasing that would be going on from people who are freaking out because they're starting to lose their hair. You've got an instant solution for them, partial. You don't need a full toupee, it's just a partial. And it doesn't even sound like it's got a stigma attached to it. Partial, it doesn't sound like I'm wearing a toupee. No, you're just wearing a partial, it's okay. You know what I mean? A lot of money to be made from this kind of thinking. Guaranteed, not optional, guaranteed, perfectly bleached knots for lace pieces, partials, and guaranteed nose to spine stitching, V-loops. So I don't know what size you want to create, but whatever size you sell to me, I'm going to review it and people are going to be asking about it. So there shouldn't be any more inquiries about what you should change it to in the future. You just decide up front. I like 15 by 30 centimeters. Or if you want to save in inches, 6 inches by 12, which is 31. But if you've got more Americans buying from you, you should probably sell it in inches. 6 by 12. It sounds good. Or you could just put in brackets 15 by 30. But don't start selling them shorter than you're advertising, because if it comes in to me at 14, it won't reach. You know what I mean? Or if it's 14.5, I won't be able to cut it out, because anything I cut off the edge will not fit anymore. I can't stretch it because poly, finds its own level. It sort of stretches back in. So thank you, Nancy. And yeah, I think you need to decide what length and width you should do the hair, but definitely nose to spine. I can also, if you want to, create a lace partial, and I'll try that as well. But make sure the knots are perfect, because I always review the knots on any hairpiece. Can't help it. It's true. I have to say the truth. Thanks. A couple of things I forgot to mention. The reason my medium dark brown color number 4 hair integrates nicely into blonde at the front so that it seamlessly blends from my forehead, because I'm pale skin, is because I always bleach the front hairline just along there to a depth of about 1 inch inwards, right? All the way along that. That is a service you could offer at checkout to make extra money. So you could say, okay, if you have pale skin and you've got dark hair, then when you've got colors beyond, I don't know what color number, we recommend, if you've got pale skin, to have the front bleached slightly. This was 45 minutes exposure for that. Okay, so you bleach that front part and then it sort of just blends in. You've got to wash it out before it goes blonde, right? You're just trying to take some of that color out of the front there. That'll be an extra money maker for you, maybe an extra $9.95 at checkout, I don't know. This stuff, you could sell it, and you take a little droplet of it, right? This is Nick's company, Shine Killer. You take a little droplet of it and you just rub it on, and it just takes the shine away from the front. Not if you're sweating or if the glue is exposing through lace, but it definitely takes a lot of shine away. It really does. You can see some of my previous videos with that. Another thing you might want to sell, but it's outside of your domain, I think, unless you want to start getting into selling more products and stuff. For a starter, I recommend you sell this. That's really good glue. You could also sell Topic in different colors and stuff, or whatever company you want to support with sprinkling on a bit, you know. Then you'd be a one-stop shop for people who are balding and bald, right? Depends if you want to start being a reseller and all that sort of stuff. So that's about all I want to say, I think. Yeah, thanks. Okay, so you heard what I've said to them. So if you want to buy rectangles for the purpose of cutting out your own partials, it would help everyone in the future if you could email LordHair information@lordhair.com and ask that you want these rectangle partials to become stock pieces, which is what I'm trying to push for at the moment. If you want them right now, you will have to make a custom order like I did, because at this point in history, they're just not a stock piece. And unfortunately, custom pieces take time. It's 27th of September, day 91. LordHair sent the first of the 4 hair pieces from China to me here in Australia by FedEx International Priority. And 9th of October, day 103, that was 6 days ago, they arrived at my house here. I agreed to inspect this first piece before they sent the other 3, and I'll be doing that in this video. So that took 103 days from my first initial inquiry to receive 1/4 of my order. Extrapolating this to the 4 pieces, it will take 412 days to receive my entire order. But I don't expect this to happen. For a start off, COVID caused massive delays, and I think LordHair was forced to replace their outsourcing with Korea with their own staff who required training. This would have slowed down everyone's orders around the world. Many commenters on my YouTube channel complained of shortages from multiple companies. In fact, due to this worldwide pandemic, many companies around the world have completely collapsed. Secondly, I was discussing the possibility of LordHair creating an entirely new range of products while I was placing this order, so that added some time. Thirdly, I paid on the 21st of July and they sent it on the 27th of September, so it actually took them 69 days to create my first custom hairpiece, not 103 days. Fourthly, I agreed to test the first custom piece before they sent the other 3. I did tell them to hurry, but I was warned that the COVID crisis had massively hindered workflow. And I can tell you right now that my hair is not worth their staff having to endure bad working conditions because I'm trying to squeeze their soul out like toothpaste. The world has experienced some serious shit this year and I needed to have some patience. If conditions were normal, if conditions were normal, as in not COVID pandemic worldwide, I would be pissed off at how long it took to receive 1/4 of my order, but not this year. Fifthly, FedEx International Priority has only taken 5 days in the past, but this time it took FedEx 13 days. So postage around the world has slowed down as well. And there are a lot more people at home who are now placing online orders for things. So that's really caused bottlenecking in the postal industry. So even though the first of my 4 custom hair pieces took 103 days to arrive after my first inquiry, I am hoping the next 3 will arrive a lot faster. Making customers wait over a year for a single order would be the end of any company. And I don't think LordHair is willing to give up and let their company fall. So in summary, this first quarter of my custom order took 103 days from initial inquiry and 69 days for LordHair to manufacture, but this would be considered completely unacceptable. But this is the year of the pandemic, 2020. Hopefully 2021 is better, and you know that probably if you were in the future. I expect that the final 3/4 of my order will be made much faster. I will let them know what I think of the first piece and tell them to proceed or make alterations after I have inspected it, which is what I'm going to do right 2 hours ago. Let's have a look. Okay guys, I've just received this in the mail from LordHair. Share your transformation. Check out those deals. I'm going to make this video in high resolution, so you can get massive rewards for sharing your before and after results. I would encourage you to do that, unless you don't want anyone to know about you being bald and stuff. I can see that'd be good reason. That'd be good reason for you not to show anyone that you're wearing a hairpiece. But I think within this community, most people, unless they're bald too, are not going to be coming in finding you without your hair on. So if you're willing to do before and after photos and so on, and before and after videos and reviews and things, they will give you coupons and so on. Alright. This is the first of 4. I ordered 15 centimeters by 30 centimeter rectangle. Just getting ready for inspection. Their colour looks correct, and you can't see any greys. Okay, so I'm going to go from there. That does look pretty accurate. Let's hope they didn't fall short. No, that seems right to me so far. 15, 30, hopefully. Hopefully it's not 29.9 or something and I can't get the full 3 hair pieces out of it or something like that. So that's what 6 by 12 inches, a little bit shorter than 6 by 12 inches. So it's 15 centimeters by 30 centimeters. So we're going to look now at V-loop alignment. You should be able to see immediately. Obviously this is not going to be my new hairpiece in one piece like this. I'm going to cut 3 out and hopefully they've gone all the way along. Right. And they've done it correctly. But of course, as you know, I always bleach along the edges, right? Okay, so at this point, all the way along the front, they haven't gone sideways at all. Brilliant. It's hard to tell exactly, but with my limited visibility. So that point there on that edge is definitely going nose to spine. It needs to go all the way through, of course, all the way, because I'll be cutting it through and it needs to just be nose to spine all the time. If this has been done correctly all the way through, I will never order a dime again. I'll just be ordering these. Of course, I've got the complaints about how long it took, but there is COVID going on, so I don't want their workers to be pushed beyond, I don't want their lives to be, awful because I'm some greedy fucking Westerner. But as you know, I'm not greedy. I paid money, right? Hundreds of dollars. I lose things out of my life in exchange for getting this, right? That's what money and the capitalist system is about. So far, everything I can see, looking through the hairs, it seems like they've done it absolutely perfectly. So, despite the huge delay, because of COVID, and I think they actually had to train new staff to do this, that seems like exactly what I ordered. So I'm very happy. Well done, LordHair. Please don't be late with the next 3, because I will be timing you, but this product does seem perfect. It's going to be a lot easier for me to cut this out than having to take a dome, cutting out the front half, which is usable for me, and then having to throw out the back half because it's just awful, the back half. The back half is fine for people who wear full toppers because nobody really concentrates that much on the back of your head. But if you're doing partials like I am, custom or domes are the only 2 ways to do it. And you can see why I have resisted the, given that it's sort of like, I can't afford to do both, right? To buy a whole bunch of domes and a custom, because I haven't got enough money. So I had to choose. And the choice of this one has cost me potentially an entire year of waiting. This is 103 days so far. Let's hope that 15th of December, I'll have received all of it. And then hopefully after that, enough of you will have written in and said, I want a rectangle too, because I have partials. But I think it doesn't matter how much demand there is at the beginning. Supply actually does create demand. If you've got things for sale, you don't check with everybody to say, should we sell this? You make it, put it up, see if people buy it. It's no huge loss if you haven't sold any. I mean, these things stay good for years, right? Before deterioration of the plastic, especially if they're kept airtight. Okay, so I think it would be totally worth LordHair's while to be the first company to provide partials, proper partials, rectangles. Now let's go and cut this out. Okay, I've said in the past that I would change the shape of my stencil because it's not accurate. This is incorrect. I mean, it could potentially become correct if I shaved in deeper, but I really don't think that there's a huge amount of missing hairs here. There's certainly a growing circle of baldness back there. But slicing some of that off would probably be better. The way to do this, by the way, is you start with the wrong stencil, you put the hair on, you cut it the new way, and before you destroy it, you take it off, you trace it, and from this, after I've fixed it so that it fits, then I would make a new stencil. So I should do that. These other two have already been cut out, so I will continue to make mistakes with these two and clean them up with scissors. But as I've told you, this is 1/4. This first 15 by 30 centimeter rectangle is the first of 4 pieces that I'll be receiving. So if the stencil had been correct, all I would have to do is press this down and it would be finished. But given that it's not correct, I'm going to have to cut out a bit. Now we have to look for density issues. We also have to look to see if the V-loops come loose, because previous hair pieces that I've had in the beginning, years ago, had loose V-loops that just kept on molting. So that can't be what happens with this one. I hope also that the bleaching process that I did for 40 minutes was the right amount of time to make this seamless at the front here. It felt like while I was doing it that it might have been a little bit too short. You can see this bump here, right? That means I have to lift this up. Right, that's stuck down really good. All right. Okay, I'll give myself a haircut. So this was a 40-minute bleach job at the front here. Maybe I could have afforded to make it a little bit longer. We'll see. I just hope the density is good. If it seems correct, the density, the same as a normal S22 unit. Yeah, we'll see. Okay, so I'm gonna cut this. And then I'll edit the hairline at the front to correct for my incorrect stencil size. Okay, so I like the altitude on this side. You see what I did? See that bend? That is folded under from when I lifted it earlier. Just got my fingernail under there and trying to flatten it. It's stuck to itself. I call that curling when that happens. And then down here, this is too low, so I'm going to cut this now. So it doesn't feel like there's a lot of glue there, but there should be residual glue all along there. That will take some cleaning up over some time. But I can't, maybe it wasn't stuck down long enough to absorb into my skin very much. So that's fairly uniform, you think? Or you think that side should be higher? At any rate, I feel comfortable with that at the moment. This is very fine hair. It's like, I think it's better quality hair than usual. I think it's extremely soft. My natural hair is coarse by comparison to this. Does that mean it's lower density? I don't know. It could be the fact that they're all extremely parallel and it gives a certain effect, but really it feels like just softer. Soft is good. All right, so now I'm going to style my hair. I'll open this frizzies. It's not really a styling product that holds, it just really is supposed to stop flyaways somehow. And I'm not sure if I was supposed to have completely dry hair before putting it in. Yeah, it says start with dry hair. So does it look like it's coming straight out of my head? See, the thing is, it does, but it's so perfect. They've done such a perfect job in the way that I requested it, that it might be a little bit too regimented. The straight lines all the way along might be a little bit too perfect. And being able to see through to the scalp like that, it seems like there's lower density. Maybe that explains the softness, less resistance, less hairs to cut. It's hard for me to tell. But it is what I asked for. I mean, yeah, I guess when the hair's wet, you'll be able to see straight lines all the way along my forehead until you get the end point. Because that doesn't look natural in there, does it? All those straight lines. In that way, lace looks more realistic because the knots have to be perfectly bleached. Given that I measure each hairpiece to be worth 1 month before you throw it away, it is conceivable that lace, which is a more realistic, when it's bleached perfectly looking base, potentially lace would be something I'd be looking into in the future. Despite the perfection of this hairpiece, it might be a little bit too perfect in terms of perfectly man-made looking and not natural looking. Then again, I do have this extra light today. Does it make a difference? No, it doesn't make a difference. Maybe the density is not enough. But it definitely goes nose to spine. There's definitely not a problem with that. I just bought these pinking shears. Where's some paper? Now we talk about corrugation, zigzagging around all over the front hairline for added realism. That is not added realism. The way the hairs come out should be potentially staggered, but having a base that does that all the way along, I don't think it would be any use at all. So I'm extremely happy with this. It's exactly what I asked for. They've done an excellent job. The delay is really caused by COVID problems. I've just emailed them just before I came back in here, not in between when I got the piece of paper, but earlier, to say I'm very happy with it. Please send me the other 3 exactly the same, except to make one of them number 4 ash brown instead of number 4 medium dark brown, which is what this is. So, any other problems with this haircut are really to do with the cutting of my natural hair up around here, so it doesn't bulge out around the top, so it conforms more to the shape of my head. But I think everyone agrees that having it medium length, like a bit longer than this, looks better. My concern is usually just to do with the sideburns getting really grey and scraggly. I should also say that this is offering me no hold whatsoever. It doesn't add weight to the hair. This bit probably should be cut so it follows the roundness of my skull. But yeah, I don't think this is actually I'll use some of this. Yeah, Frizzies is not really a styling product. This is holding paste. When I first saw the base, because it's not dome shaped, it was a nice rectangle, I could see it all nice at a glance. It seemed like the base was too shiny, but you can see now it's not. It's perfectly integrating, camouflaged into my forehead. So I would still, if you're wanting to order a partial, think ahead, plan ahead. You could do what I've been doing over the years, which is basically buying domes and cutting out the back and front of them. So you can get 2, or if you only need a little bit at the front, you get 3 out of a dome. But the back half of a poly hairpiece at least is just higgledy going in all directions. You definitely won't get results like this from the back of a hairpiece. So I'm so glad that finally all of my hairpieces are going to be nose to spine. I won't have that problem as long as I order them custom like this. I might buy some lace in the future. The problem with lace is, of course, the shine coming through and all that glue that gathers around the very front, which is totally requiring cleanup. And I think it might have something to do with when you come out of the shower, the water has been absorbed into the glue and it bloats, whereas it doesn't go through the plastic, the poly, to cause that level of bloating. So front hairline cleanup with poly is 100 times easier than with lace. How's this election coming up, by the way? Well, for those of you in the future, you know who it's going to be. Is it going to be the Greens? No. It's probably going to be the Republicans or the Democrats in America, right? Who win the 2020 election? I would say it's a pretty safe bet. I don't know why you guys just stick to 2 parties for 100 years. Anyway, it's your choice. You guys are in charge of the votes. Okay, we've got 1 grey hair here. 1 grey hair. Fail, send it back. Yeah, 1 grey. That's the only grey I found. That's alright. I am greying. I do have 1 straight grey every so often around here as well. But yeah, I'd rather it doesn't come in my hair pieces. So yeah, I'll let you know if there is any problem with the V-loops loosening and coming out. But apart from that, and potentially a density issue or something, causing the lines to be seen on the scalp, I'm just willing to bet that that's kind of more to do with the fact that V-loops are stitched in lines so they can be held in position, stitched down, come up all the way along. So we're getting to get those lines. With lace that wouldn't happen, but then there are so many other problems with lace that it's probably a safer bet to just deal with these straight lines. Potentially, I probably should say the density is not thick enough, but it seems thick enough in terms of hair manageability, I think, might be not quite dense enough. But I'd say this is not bad at all. Definitely the front hairline is perfect, right? Okay, so yeah, I'll let you know how long it takes to get the other 3. So far that's been 103 days, 69 days manufacture, and 103 days messing around. But like I said, it's a lot of bad stuff's happened because of COVID. So I rate this hairpiece the way they've given it to me, the way I ordered it, what I got compared to what I paid for and what I asked for. I give it a 10 out of 10. Delivery, knock off 7 points, 3 out of 10. Let's hope that, because I'm not going to wait a year for an order. Like if you multiply 103 times 4, that's 412. That's more than a year, right? A lot more than a year. That would be completely unacceptable if your orders took over a year, wouldn't it? Yes. And 103 days, that's too long as well. But like I say, the COVID thing, you've got to make some allowances. Because at least they're still in business. They might be struggling and pushing shit uphill right now. But let's hope the problems of just being mostly eradicated and they can get back to full-time production and put everything back on the stock shelves. And hopefully you can contact them at information@LordHair.com or contact your other hair companies. And if you want partials, please say, can you please start stocking rectangles? And if you think that's the right width for you, I reckon it would be pretty approximately good for everybody, 6 inches wide. And then the length. For me, 30 centimeters or 12 inches worked out well. So 6 by 12. I think that should be the industry standard for partials, because it hasn't been decided yet, because it doesn't exist yet. But as far as I can tell, most people's heads are about 6 inches wide at any given point. Okay. I suppose back here, it could be 8 inches instead of 6. But I think if you're ordering a partial, which is not dome shaped, 6 could be industry standard. I wouldn't mind if it was 8, but then I might get less length, you know, and I only get 2 pieces again. I'd like to get the 3, you know. So 12 inches long gives me 3. And I think most people who've got the same system the same problem as me with these recessions and the thinning here, they'll get 3 too. So I think for anyone who wants those front partials, 6 by 12 inches is a good industry size. So if you want it, order it custom. It's exactly what I asked for. They did an excellent job. Time problems? Yes. Quality problems? No. They didn't even put the little Auschwitz tag on it. So extra 10 points.